I've been forced to do this and wave the flag after the events of last weekend, Dor.
Oh dear, I did not see this coming.
Bugger you. Bugger you dead.
Oh, don't bugger me. What did I do wrong?
No, not buggering you dead, mate. Well, there might be another team that maybe I can get on the end of, bro.
Maybe, Sammy boy. Yeah. Unfortunately, your boys joined us in Bali, my friend.
Howdy everyone, welcome back to Wobble Enjoy Sports. If you're new around here, hope I can get you to consider to like the content and subscribe to the channel. But if you're a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Preliminary final weekend is this weekend, and for me it's my favorite time of the year. It is the best weekend of rugby league. It is the most desperate teams are at to get into that grand final. And joining me, as I've just mentioned, is Dor from the All Out Club once more. How's things, mate?
Oh, bloody great, mate. Unfortunately, we are both, our teams are both not there, but I, just like you, am very much looking forward to these fixtures this weekend in not only not only just the NRL, but the NRLW as well, with their finals kicking off this weekend as well.
And just to the handful of people that are starting to trickle in, William Hunt, hey man, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. And Nick McKercher, did you personally buy that flag off eBay, Sam? No, I went to Magic Round. Went to Magic Round earlier this year and picked myself up a freebie. And then Jason Reader, well, at least one man knows what it's like to have his men's NRL team playing this weekend here in Jason Reader. So good on you, mate. Alrighty then, without further ado, let's just get friggin' stuck into it, Dor, eh?
Oh, let's get straight into it, Sammy boy.
Alrighty then, so starting on Friday night, emanating from Amy Park, we got the Storm hosting the Sydney Roosters, and it is Melbourne who are the favourites at $1.30, whereas the Sydney Roosters, they're sitting at approximately $3.60, and I'm just going to share my screen in 3, 2, 1, and I'll go through the Melbourne Storm team lineup first of all. And this is the first time that I've seen any of the team lists as well. So Pappenhausen, Warbrick, and Coates, back three. I believe this is Coates' first game in maybe 2 months, a little bit over. I can't remember if he played in week 1 of the finals.
He's played last couple of weeks, mate. He played against the Broncos in 27. He played, I think, around like 40, 45, 50 minutes. Yep. And then he went off and then, played week before last in the first week against the Sharks. And then, but he should be, to your point, mate, he should be back. Like the Coates, Xavier Coates will be back this weekend with a scintillating performance, I'm calling.
Munster and Hughes are the halves pairing. Nass, Grant and King, the front row. Bloor, Katoa and Loiero, the back row. Wishart, Welch, Kamikamitha, and Alec McDonald are the interchange. And Suafa Alongo has been named on the reserves as well. So maybe he could be a late inclusion. If you want to take it away there, Dor, for the eastern suburbs.
Yeah, for Jason's men, the Chooks. Yes, we've got King Teddy, as they call him, James Tedesco, off a thrilling great performance from him last weekend at the back. They've got Tupu and Dom Young on the wings. Joseph Akuso Suali'i is in the centres with Joseph Manu. The halves are Luke Keary and Sandon Smith, who Sandon Smith had a very good game last week. Credit to him. The props are Waria Hargreaves and Lindsay Collins. The hooker is Connor Watson. The back row is Angus Crichton and Satili Tupanua. The lock is Victor Radley, who made his return actually from that fractured scapula or whatever it was. So that was a big, I think he only played like 20, 30 minutes last week. So it'll be interesting, Sam, I'm sure we can talk about that in a second, how many minutes we expect Radley to play this weekend. The bench is Spencer Linu, Nafu White, Nat Butcher, and Tyrrell May, with the 18th man being Zach Docker-Clay. So look... Yeah, you go, Sam. I was just going to say it's basically the same Roosters team from last week.
And I don't foresee anybody making their way back into into that Roosters side from the reserves. So the first point that I want to make up is that we see once every second year, some may argue once every year, in this preliminary final weekend that we see the upset. We see the upset victory. And there's a lot of disrespect, in my opinion, on that number of $3.60 for the eastern suburbs. That's a lot. That's a lot. I understand Sam Walker and the other gentleman is missing out still as well, Brandon Smith. But if there is an upset to happen this weekend in one of the two prelim finals, it's going to be this one. It is going to be this one, in my opinion. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I think if there's going to be an upset, like you said, just short and sweet, I think it will be this one. I thought the Roosters were very, very special last weekend, should I say, against Manly. Look, that Manly suffered a few out of HIA, and obviously it didn't start very well. But look, no excuses there. The Roosters came out and absolutely killed it. They performed exceptionally. I think we were sort of predicting it, but I don't think in that sort of that margin of victory. So look, I think this is it. This is the one. Roosters 26-18. Yeah. I think if the Roosters are to win, it will be a close one. Look, I don't know if you were going to provide some stats, Sam. I might have ruined your flame here, but I will give you some if you were going to. That the Storm have actually won 10 of their past 11 games against the Roosters. The Roosters have lost their last 3 games at Amy Park. Xavier Coates has scored 8 tries in his past 4 games against the Roosters. So look, Sam, maybe what you were saying earlier might be a bit of an omen. Get on Xavier Coates. Roosters prop Spencer Linu will play his 100th NRL game. And so will Storm captain Harry Grant. So congratulations to both those men. But look, the deeming or the damning stats, should I say, is that the Roosters' record against the Storm.
Oh, I didn't realize that it was that big. I would have at least given the Sydney Roosters one more win in amongst those 11 contests, mate. That's extraordinary. And I think the Roosters backline, or at least in the center wing position, might have the edge over the Melbourne Storm as well. We're going to have Joseph Suaalii combating, I believe, Nick Meaney. And I think it's Will Warbrick.
Jack Howard is the other center. Yeah. And then Warbrick and Coates on the wing. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. No, you're right, man. So I think it's going to be Joseph Suaalii lining up against Jack Howarth. That's a head-to-head battle. And then we're going to also have Will Warbrick going one-on-one with Xavier Coates as well. So that's awesome. Daniel Tupou versus Xavier Coates. That's awesome. That's almost worth the price of admission alone. The fullback battle, Pappenhausen and Tedesco. Pappenhausen has been good at times, very good this year without being great this season, just a workhorse. But in that center battle, so obviously conversely, Joey Manu and Dominic Young versus Nick Meaney and Will Warbrick. Are you leaning more towards the Roosters backline or the Melbourne Storm backline?
I think the Roosters have got in 1 to 5. I think Roosters have definitely got the better back line. Look, it might be a bit of a bold take, but I think consistently for the whole season, James Tedesco has been the best fullback in the competition this season. So I think that, and Pappenhausen, like you said, he's obviously had a few niggles, missed a bit of time. And then you look at the wings, you've got Daniel Tupou, ever reliable Daniel Tupou on the wing, and you've got Dom Young. That Roosters backline is 1 to 5 is seriously stacked. It's if you include the 6 and 7 is where then you start to go the other way, in my opinion.
Yep, and we'll just go over the halves just for the time being, because if that backline battle doesn't interest you, if it doesn't quench anybody's thirst, then the head-to-head matchup of Jared Warrior-Hargreaves versus Nelson Asafa-Solomona this Friday night, man. Get your beers in.
Fireworks.
Get your pizza ready. Absolute freaking mushroom cloud will be emanating out at Amy Park this
They might
Friday
even
night.
they might even bring back the Brute Big Hits this weekend, Sam. Just a special
Oh,
one-off
why not?
segment for this clash, because far out, Big Nelly from Welly versus Jared Maria Hargreaves. Oh my, it is
Oh,
going to be an absolute. Oh, I can't wait. It's just going to be fireworks. Two big aggro forwards that really, when I say aggro, they really go out there, play very aggressively, and really try to shift the momentum straight off the kickoff towards their team. So it's going to be absolute, fireworks. I can't wait, Sam. I can't wait.
and just on Jared Hargreaves still, man, how graphic was it last Saturday? The impact that he brings. He is the Tom Travojevic, with due respect to Manly and all that, but he is the energizer for this team. It's amazing how much of a lift that they got with his presence there on the paddock.
100%, Sam, and I think that's also something. Look, probably a bit too soon, but looking past this season is something that the Roosters will have to really, combat next year without him being there. So, like, I agree wholeheartedly, Sam. He is, like what he did to the Roosters team last week was just amazing. Obviously, there was the Teddy milestone game as well, but with Jared being back, it was a huge, huge boost for the Roosters.
And the other head-to-head matchup, Josh King versus Lindsay Collins, that'll be a great smash mouth battle as well. But the other head-to-head matchup this Friday night is a battle of arguably the best second rowers in the game. It is going to happen. It is Katoa versus Crichton, Angus Crichton versus Eli Katoa. And with all due respect to Eli Katoa, whilst I think he's had an absolutely terrific season, I am leaning towards Angus Crichton in what will be a very, very crucial head-to-head matchup.
I'm going the other way, mate. I lean towards
true.
Ellie. Yeah, I lean towards Katoa. I think Angus Crichton has been absolutely immense this year, but I feel like just his standards were so high around that origin period, the middle of the year. I feel like he's starting to, I wouldn't say subside. He's still playing unbelievable football, but I just think with Katoa, I think he's really rising to the top. And you think about the Storm having that extra week off, like they, only trained a few times last week. That's also actually another thing. Maybe I segue into that after this about the benefit or potentially the negative of having the week off. For both sides, you think about it is, the Roosters have obviously, fit. They've been playing matches, whereas the Storm obviously didn't play last week. Had a nice chill thing. Like obviously good for those those players that are carrying a few niggles or something like that. But it could be beneficial for the Roosters because they might hit the ground running and the Storm might take a little while to get into the contest. So, but for me, Katoa, I think he's been outstanding throughout this whole year. They're both my starting back rowers, and I'm pretty sure, if my memory serves me right, they might. I'm pretty sure 99.5% sure that the rugby league players team of the year, these two were both the second rowers in that team.
No, you're correct. I
Katoa
remember that.
and Angus Crichton. Yeah. So long story short, it's going to be an absolute huge matchup, Sam. These two going head to head, just like Nelly from Welly and JWH and Teddy and Pappenhausen. Look, there's huge matchups all over the park. It's just, I just can't wait, man. I'm getting excited talking about it, and I don't even like what the Broncos aren't in it, so I can't really get into it as much as I'd like to. But I'm still bloody really chomping at the bit, mate.
No, I am too, man. The more that we talk about it, the greater that this matchup does become. And you did touch on the buy for the Melbourne Storm. And while I don't have the true stats here in front of me, just off vibe alone, after watching rugby league for 20 plus years now, when the Melbourne Storm do get into the prelim final, it is not an assured thing. They have lost to the New Zealand Warriors. They did lose to the North Queensland Cowboys in upset losses as well. They've also lost to the Bulldogs in a final as well, an elimination final a few years ago. So It's a bit, I wouldn't say 50-50, but I'd say it's probably more of like a 70-30, 60-40 success rate for the Melbourne Storm whenever they do reach this time of the year. Also, the Canberra Raiders as well, doing the job on them. So Storm, they're a little bit susceptible. And this year, we have seen teams come off buys, I'd say maybe 70% of the time, worse for wear. It has taken those teams a strong half hour to get into that game. And that's what you alluded to before, man. So I agree with that. I think the Storm, I mean, it is Craig Bellamy. It is the Melbourne Storm. So I might be saying this now and they'll be the team to hit the ground running. But it's just that we have seen this year, I would suggest 70% of the time, that teams that have come off the bye have had to really go hard for 30 minutes to get into their groove. In saying all of that and not meaning to wash over the battle of the halves, I mean, Munster and Hughes, that's where my tip is coming in. I'm going to say that the Melbourne Storm do win this game. I'm going to say Melbourne Storm win this 1-12. I think this has the potential to be the game of the year. And it's just a shame that Brandon Smith and Sam Walker aren't going to be there. But Sandon Smith, for as terrific as how he went last weekend, he's going into Melbourne. Craig Bellamy and all those veterans are going to have a game plan for the young man. So it's a huge contest. And if Sandon Smith wins this Friday, my God, his confidence will hit an all-time high that he's never known before. But I am going to say that the Melbourne Storm win this one, something akin to a 20 points to 12 sort of a scoreline.
Yeah, no. If you want my tip, mate, I'm also leaning towards the Storm as well. Very sorry, Jason, but yeah, no, I'm leaning towards the Storm. I think that just those losses, those key areas. Look, it's definitely possible. I am predicting 1-12 as well. I'm thinking something along the lines of maybe like a 24-25 to 16. I think scoreline. In favor of the Storm. I just think, I think that without Sam Walker, as good as Sandon Smith is, in saying that though, on Sandon Smith, if Sandon Smith is able to have an absolute blinder, for example, the man that we'll probably talk about in the next fixture, but if he has like a Braden Trindle-like performance from for the Roosters this week, look, there's a lot of clubs in 2026 that will be looking for a halfback or a half for that matter. So, look, there's a lot to play for, as well as, just his Roosters jersey with the departure of Keary next season as well. So, and obviously your man Chad coming down from North Queensland back to the Chooks next season. So, yeah, long story short, Sam, I'm going Storm. I'm going to go, let's say 25-16 to the Storm. And I think Jerome Hughes will be the man of the match.
Jason Reeder, mate, I love that you've already said fair enough, but I know that your mouse is hovering over that unsubscribe button. You can't do it. Please, Jason, I need you to hang around with me, mate.
But the Roosters are a great chance, Sam. They are a great chance. It's just that, like you said, they are, like you said as well, mate, the market. Look, if you're a Roosters fan, I truly do believe you should put some money on them at $3.60, because I think that is ridiculous value for how they played last week. And yes, the records are all against them, but it's rugby league, mate. Anything can happen. So yeah, while we obviously, Sam and I are both tipping the Storm, look, the Roosters can go out there and win. And yeah, $3.60 in my opinion is that they should be around, I'd say like $2.80, I reckon. But anyway, I'll shut up and we'll move on to the next game, I'd say.
No, you're right. And Nick's got a question. Is that your car, Sam? I thought you drive a Ferrari personally. No, mate. No, look, I've just given it a wash and I'm just letting it dry out the front. So yeah, no, I've got two cars. Yeah, Ferrari's just out the front, Nick. Let's go into the second game now, and the second match of the preliminary finals, Penrith versus Cronulla. Both these teams entered the competition in 1967, and this will be just the second time that they play in finals footy. Penrith, they are $1.25. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, they are $4 outsiders. And just give me a moment as I bring up the team list. So 3, 2, 1. Alrighty, I'll go through the Penrith team lineup first of all. So lining up at fullback with a hell of a lot of bruises, Dylan Edwards, Sunia Taruva, and Brian To'o are the wingers. Isaac Tungo and Paul Alamotti are the centres. Luai and Cleary are the halves pairing. Liotta, Fisher-Harris, and Kenny, the front row. Garner, Martin, and Yo, the back row. And the interchange, Brad Schneider, chosen at jersey 14. Lindsay Smith, Henry, and Matt Eisenhuth are the interchange bench. And we've got Scott Sorensen and Dane Laurie floating around there on the reserves list. I personally would have gone for Dane Laurie. Dor, I'll get your opinion on that. Are you happy with the selection of Brad Schneider at 14, or would you have gone elsewhere, like a Luke Summerton or a Dane Laurie?
Yeah, Laurie's hard to leave out. He's been very good, but he is coming back from injury. I'm not sure how he's tracking, but look, he's obviously been named on the reserves. I think the one man that will come in if he is fit is Scott Sorensen. If Scott Sorensen is fit, I am almost 99.9% sure that he will take Matt Eisenhuth's spot on that bench. And then, I think they will keep. Look, I don't want to allude to my heartbreak from last year too much, but the Panthers obviously carried a half on the bench in 2023 with obviously there was the the injury cloud over Jerome Luai. He obviously didn't play the whole game. They had Cogger there on the bench. I think that potentially maybe with obviously, Cleary not being 100%, he's definitely going to be way better than he was last week fitness-wise. But I'm just saying with that floating around that could be potentially the reason why Ivan Cleary is carrying Brad Schneider on the bench just in case something was to happen to his halves. And he obviously has the versatility, should I say, to play at hooker as well. So that's only my reasoning behind it. But I am strongly of the opinion that Scott Sorensen will 110%, not 99.9 anymore, 110% take Matt Eisenhuth's spot on that bench if he is fit.
Take it away for the Cronulla team lineup, please, bro.
Sure, mate. William Kennedy is at the back for the Sharkies. The wingers are Sione Katoa and Ronaldo Mulitalo. The centers are Jesse Ramian and Kale Ero. The halves are Braden Tricky Trindle in the halves with Nicholas Hines. The props are Toby Rudolph and Oregon Kofusi. Blake Brayley is the prop. Britton Nickera and Teague Wilton are the back rowers, and Cameron McInnes is the lock. On the bench, they have CSC for Talakai, Jack Williams, Royce Hunt, and Tom Hazelton. Their 18th man is none other than Daniel Atkinson, who I think has been very unlucky to be an 18th man. But look, it is what it is. They've got a very strong side, Cronulla, and I really like the CSC for Talakai on the bench. I think the impact that this man can provide, whether it be through the middle or on the edge, is something that the Sharkies will definitely benefit from if they're close in this fixture this weekend, mate. So very strong forward pack. And you just think about if you look after this year to add, losing Royce Hunt, but then to add Adam Fanua-Blake to this already very strong forward pack for the Sharks is something very special, mate. So do you want me to hit the oh, you go.
No, I'm looking at the bench now, man, and it's been no secret that this Cronulla interchange bench has been maybe their secret weapon all season long. Mate, looking at it now, they've got the wood on the
They do have the wood
bench. They certainly do, bro. But take it away, man. What were you going to say?
No, they definitely do have the wood, Sam. But I think if Sorensen plays, he'll start. I think, and Garner will move back, move into that 17 jersey. Look, but I definitely do favor that Sharks interchange is truly special. But anyway, let's hit let's hit the listeners or watchers with some stats, Sam. The good old stat attack. The Panthers have won 7 of their past 8 games against the Sharks. The Sharks have been outscored 70-0 in their past 2 clashes against the Panthers. The Panthers are aiming for a premiership record 11 straight finals wins. Sharks halfback Nico Hines will play his 100th game. Geez, there's a few 100th games this weekend. Hines, Grant, and Spencer Linu. So congratulations to all those men. And then also a big congratulations to Panthers captain Isaiah Yeo, who will break the club's all-time appearance record of 243 games for the mighty Penrith Panthers. So congratulations, Isaiah. But yeah, Sam, mate, this is going to be an interesting one. I'm not trying to disrespect Cronulla fans or anything, but I think that, like we touched on, I think that the upset is more likely with the Roosters than unfortunately with the Sharks. I'm basing this on my own opinion from what I've seen the last, say, month, the back end of the regular season into the finals campaign from the Sharks. I'm just a bit worried if something like Trindle last week, sorry to bring potential flashbacks, Sam, but if Braden Trindle doesn't have the game that he did last week, I am a bit concerned about how Cronulla go this weekend.
Yeah, you and I sort of salivated a little bit over the interchange bench just then, but got to be fair dinkum, with all due respect to any Cronulla fans that see this, but the form line for the Cronulla Sharks as soon as September occurred hasn't been great. I know they went to Manly and did really well, but finals week 1 they got trounced, and last weekend, you and I, Dor, we've spoken about this at length, so I'm going to try and condense this as much as possible. But I thought Cowboys started at the better of the team inside the first 10 minutes, and then that second half from Cronulla, they lost 18 points to 2 when the completion rates, the missed tackles were only a fraction better than North Queensland, and North Queensland missed 50 tackles or plus 50 tackles last weekend.
I think they missed like 55 and Sharks missed like 40 or something. So it was, like we said, it wasn't we've discussed, should I say, it was not a good performance defensively from either sides. And you and I both agreed if either of whoever it was, well, obviously Cronulla are through. If Cronulla dish up that this weekend, they're in big trouble. They really need to keep themselves in the contest, Sam. That's the biggest thing of what, like you were saying, if we want to cut it down to the nitty gritty, the Cronulla Sharks have got to stay in the contest. They've too many times this season, they've got themselves or just completely lost the contest for the majority of the game. Like they probably 30 to 40 minutes. I'd say, look, they did the damage in the first half, but I think that they only really dominated the game for around 20 to 30 minutes, but they did a lot of impact in that 20 to 30 minutes. You think if they can keep that sort of same impact for a longer period of time, what they can do this weekend. So that's the biggest thing for the Sharkies this weekend. We need to see them playing, an 80-minute performance or close to it for them to have a real chance this weekend, mate.
Yeah, I also look at a lot has been made about Penrith Panthers' right edge defensively. Isaac Tungo is going to have a target on him, and he's going to be lining up against Kyle Iro this weekend. Teague Wilton is also going to be on that side, and so too Ronaldo Mulatalo. I'll tell you what, if I'm Isaac Tungo, I'm also breathing a bit of a sigh of relief that Britain Nikora is not running at me this weekend, because I think Nikora could be that he's one of the best line runners, if not the best line runner in the competition. And I think if Hines and Trindle Kennedy, if they could have worked their magic, I would not be surprised to see Britain Nikora float over to the left-hand side just for 1 or 2 plays throughout the game to try and exploit Isaac Tungo defensively. But he has gotten a little bit better over the past few weeks. But that is obviously the edge that the Sharkies are going to attack. But Jesse Ramian taking on Paul Alamotti might hold the same concern with Britain Nikora on that right-hand side. So that I seem to, I think you and I seem to be pumping up the tires of the Cronulla Sharks because we've seen them play top four footy. We've seen them play championship footy throughout different periods of 2024, but I can't trust them at the moment. I can't trust them at the moment, bro. But it's there. If they play to the best of their abilities, this is going to be a thrill. This should be a thriller. But that championship experience from the Penrith Panthers is going to shine through beautifully. And unfortunately, not unfortunately, but for Cronulla Sharks fans, I'm going to choose the Penrith Panthers to win this game. And I'm flirting with the idea of 13 plus. But for now, I'm going to go with a scoreline akin to maybe a 22 to 10 sort of a scoreline.
Yeah, no, like you said, Sam, on Britton Nickera, look, you could argue he's definitely, in my opinion, a top 5 second rower in the competition, and you could even argue a top 3 with the way he has been playing these last few years. He has been absolutely scintillating, and a big reason why Cronulla are where they are is because of how good Britton Nickera has played. And on Kale, he has been exceptional considering this is his first full season of NRL. He has been spectacular, not only in attack, but defensively. He hasn't obviously scored a lot of tries, but in saying that, he has worked his absolute backside off, taking heaps of carries, making heaps of meters. So while he's not coming up on the score sheet, he's still absolutely working his backside off for someone who's only in their first season, which is actually quite scary to think about how good this guy can be, considering, like I said, first season in the NRL. But yeah, Sam, look, I think while I'm sorry, Sharks fans, but I've got to put it how I see it. If you look at William Kennedy, while he was great last week up against someone like Dylan Edwards this weekend, William Kennedy needs to play, if not as good as last week, probably better for this Shark side. But the big one, again, it seems to always come back to this, Sam, just like the Storm Roosters game. The reason why is, for me, well, there's a few factors, but the main reason is the halves combination for Penrith against the Cronulla Sharks pair. I'm sure you probably agree, mate, but look, Nathan Cleary was, for someone that came back after missing like a month of football the other week, was just, I was blown away. I was nearly on the stage of actually putting a tweet out and saying, build him a statue outside Bluebet Stadium, mate, because he was just phenomenal in his return. And then Jerome Luai, you think of the Jerome Luai from a few seasons ago to the Jerome Luai that we have today. The man that has, look, I'm not a huge Luai fan, but I'll give him credit when credit's due, and he has stood up immensely for the Penrith Panthers in Cleary's absence this season. To think that, Penrith have got a really strong side, but to think that they finished as well as they did and as high as they did is solely due to Jerome Luai and how he led the team around the paddock in Cleary's absence. I think that, look, Nicho Hynes started the season absolutely special. Last weekend, he was good without being great, but look, that's all he needed to do. He just did his job, and that was absolutely what the Sharks needed him to do, because the man that I said, Braden Tricky Trindle, was just absolutely exceptional last week. But my point is, Braden Trindle, I don't know if you guys all have been watching him very closely like I have, but when Trindle has one really good game, the following week or a few weeks after are normally not to the same level. Unfortunately for Cronulla, I don't think that if Braden Trindle doesn't play like he did last week, I do not think, unless Nicho Hynes just absolutely explodes, like Nicho's going to have to play better than he did last week. But look, if Trindle doesn't match what he did last week, I think Cronulla are just going to struggle. Like you think, again, sorry, Sam, but like Trindle was leading that Shark side around last week. He had the short kicking game. He had the long kicking game. The kicks at the end of sets were always right in the corner. Or the grubbers, the short kicks were always sitting in the in goal. The amount of pressure that Braden Trindle put on the Cowboys last weekend, and I said this to you as well when I spoke to you on Saturday, that he could not do no wrong. He was easily the best player on the park last weekend, and the Sharks really need to. I've rambled on a bit here, but yeah, no, the Sharks really need Trindle to be at his absolute best, mate. But look, the forward battle is going to be exceptional. We've got Leota and Fisher Harris versing all these special young. You've got Henry and Lindsay Smith, and you've got Royce Hunt and Tom Hazelton. Oregon Kafusi's had a great breakout year as well. Toby Rudolph's been playing some good football. And then, you back row of Garner, Martin, potentially Sorensen as well up against Nickero. Look, it's absolutely just special, mate. I think one thing, though.
Yes, mate.
I say this a lot I've said this in Origin. Look, To'o he's special. He is a special winger, but look, he is not the biggest winger. And I watched last weekend, and I watched Ronaldo Mulatalo. Absolutely, no disrespect, Kyle Felt, but he absolutely towed up in Kyle Felt in the air last weekend. And I just think if there's a chance, I just don't think teams attack it. I know Brian To'o is a very good winger. He was winger of the year in that Rugby League Players of the Year, Team of the Year. So he's a great winger, but I just think against an aerial threat, I'm thinking best aerial players in the game, I think Ronaldo Mulatalo is definitely a top 3 prospect in that, if not potentially 1 or 2. I think Xavier Coates is another good threat, but I think Ronaldo Mulatalo, his hands is just really special. So, look, unfortunately, after all that talking about Cronulla, I'm going a strong Panthers 13 plus. I'm thinking 36-16.
Ooh, bloody Nora. And you're right, man. I don't know why people don't try to do it more often on Brian To'o. Roosters played them the other week and they didn't try it once, maybe only the one time, I'm with you. I don't know why teams don't try to do it. But then again, Brian To'o is the best winger in the game today. Just
100%. So. He makes it meters, works his backside off. Yeah, I can't wait. They're both great matchups this weekend, Sam. But like I have said to you, it is all leading to what you and I have both said, to a Storm Panthers grand final 1 versus 2. So we'll see. And just quickly, Sam, Nicholas is in the chat, mate. Yeah, no, we did deserve it, but we choked, mate. So it is very tough. I'm still hurt to this day. A lot of tears were shed, but look, we move on and we look to this finals campaign, and maybe the Broncos girls can get it done this year for us, Nick.
Well, just quickly, one more question. Hey, Wobblin, is Cowboys halfback going to be now Clifford? Yeah, at this point in time, I would say Clifford gets the jersey to start round 1 next season. But can I just really take a detour here, mate? Before we get stuck into the NRLW, I want to talk about today's current discussion about Kalen Ponga's choosing not to play for Australia. It is the best thing that someone can do is represent your country. Kalen Ponga has chosen to knock back Mal Meninga. Now, allegedly, he didn't contact Mal before making the announcement. That's allegedly. That's from what I've just heard on the rough shot.
No, that's what they said last night as well.
The fact that the NRL want to now suspend him for 4 games, I think is absolutely ridiculous. If the bloke doesn't want to earn an extra $15,000, $20,000 in the month of November, at the very least, that's his decision, bro. And you've got the likes of a Tedesco, a Dylan Edwards, and others to fill that void. I think the vitriol that's been thrown at Kalen Ponga today from some corners of the compass has been disgraceful, and it's his decision, and he shouldn't be punished for it, bro.
But do you think he could have handled it better?
Of course he could. I definitely think he made a mistake by not contacting Mal And
he should have called Mal
Mm.
first, in my opinion, made it private, and just said, look, whatever the reasons are, I'm, focused on Newcastle or whatever is what we've heard from Newcastle, that he said that he wants to focus on the club's campaign for next season. But yeah, I just don't know. Me personally, I'd be chomping at the bit to represent my country at any chance I get. I'm also really, I know Tedesco, Dylan Edwards, Reece Walsh, you can go through a heap of fullbacks. We're absolutely spoiled for fullback talent in Australia and the rugby league in general. But just me personally, I really want to see the best players playing for their country. And I think look, the long story short, I really wish Ponga played, or it's just because this excuse has come, not excuse, well, this reason, should I say, has been told to everyone multiple times. This isn't the first time that Ponga has said that he is going to focus on Newcastle. I know you were there, Sam. I know what you and I had chats about it, but that Kalen Ponga performance against the Cowboys, if the Newcastle Knights came with Kalen Ponga in that game, he was by far the best player. And I think Braithen Astor actually said last night on 360 he was, after that game, was willing to call him the best player in the competition after what he saw against the Cowboys. So yeah, look. Long story short, he should have handled it a lot better. He shouldn't have just gone to the Knights and sat down and told them, no, I don't want to play. And then the Knights actually, after this meeting, releasing the statement. And Kalen's, this is all allegedly of what I've heard, is that Kalen's dad, I think it's Adrian, I think, was threatening if the Knights weren't going to release a statement, that Kalen himself was going to release a statement saying that he was pulling himself out of the Kangaroos or Pacific Nations test matches. So yeah, look, I just really wanted to see Ponga play. I think, like I said, Tedesco's the best fullback this year over the whole competition. Dylan Edwards, I think, is carrying. I don't think Dylan Edwards is 100%. Not that many players are 100%, but look, the Dylan Edwards has been a bit in the wars this year. So I think that it's a high chance that he could rest, need that rest. Look, long story short, I just wanted to see Ponga play for the Kangaroos, but I don't think that the punishment of 4 games is very fair for someone that just, is being upfront. It might just should have told Mal, and it could have just been all kept internal. And then when it came to dropping the team list, they could have just said, oh, Ponga isn't available for selection or something like that. It just could have been handled so much better than what it was. And he's caused himself just a lot of grief now, because now he's getting battered from all corners in terms of this decision.
Yep. Thank you for letting me wobble me jaw about that, because I saw that this
wobble
morning.
All you like, mate.
And mate, I just think it's disgraceful. I really do. But I don't mean any disrespect to the 4 teams that we are about to talk about, because the final series kicks off for the NRLW this Sunday. We've got 2 of them kicking off on Sunday, and game number 1, at least one of us has our teams in some sort of finals this freaking weekend. Alrighty, now this game kicks off at Totally Workwear Stadium from approximately 2:00 in the afternoon. It is the Brisbane Broncos, the minor premiers, taking on the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, and it is Brisbane who are $1.45. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks are $2.75, and I'll just share my screen in 3, 2, 1, and up she hops. Dor, would you please take us through the Brisbane Broncos team lineup?
Oh, mate, it would be an absolute pleasure to go through my my girls. Look, Hayley Maddock is at the back. Look, if I pronounce any of these wrong, I sincerely apologize. Julia Robinson, and Lauren Dam on the bench, who has obviously come into the team with the injury to Stacey Walker a few weeks ago. Very big loss for the Broncos, but look, sorry for the pun, but Lauren, damn, she's done a good job since she's come in. So, Mele Hufanga, wow, she's had another great season, and Shanae Suzolka in the centres. The halves are Gail Broughton and Ali Briganshaw. Brianna Clark and Aneta Claudia Nuasala are the props. Jada Ferguson, who's had an absolutely special season and was absolutely very good last weekend against the Red V. She is at hooker. We've got Maria Denman and Romy Teitzel. Oh, Romy is at in the second row. And then we have Keely Joseph, who is at in the lock position. On the bench, we have Destiny Brill, Chelsea Lenarduzzi, Lavina Gould, and Tafito Lafele on the bench, should I say. And Skylar Adams is the 18th man for my Brisbane Broncos, mate.
And there's just that name there. There's that Destructor right there in Tasman Rapiner, who has been named on the reserves list. So she more than likely will be a late inclusion, in my opinion, for the Brisbane Broncos.
Who for?
For who for?
I think Gould.
That's for Coach Prince to figure out, mate.
Oh, Scotty.
Well, going into
those Sharkies, mate.
Going into the Sharks now, Tonagato is fullback. Staples and Ravix are the wingers. We've got Penatani and Biddle as the centres. Arguably, I know they're coming up against Tufunga and Shizuoka, but I love that centre pairing of Biddle and Penatani.
It's a very special centre pairing. Yeah.
They've been very good, man. Georgia Hanaway and Taylor Preston, the halves pairing. Johnston, Dodd, Dimmick, the front row. Holmes, Byers, and Anderson, the back row. And 14, Philomena Hanisi, Chloe Saunders, Foliaki, and Takapatolo in jersey number 17. And I just got to go up and just verify that, Holly Wheeler has been suspended this weekend. So that is a massive blow for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. I want to talk about Cronulla first, if you don't mind, Dor, because what the hell has happened over the past 3 weeks to the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks? They were undefeated, and then they ran into the Brisbane Broncos. They ran into the Sydney Roosters. They got touched up by the Roosters. They had a very admirable effort against the Brisbane Broncos in arguably the game of the season. And then last weekend, they went down to the West Tigers by 2 points that cost them a possible home semi-final, man. I don't know quite where to start with the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Dor.
I think a positive for them, Sam, is definitely the form of Hanaway in the halves. I think she's been terrific for Cronulla. And then, like you said, Penantani and Biddle have been very, very special this season for the Sharkies, as well as Ellie Johnston. She just kills it. Give her the ball close to the line. She's close to unstoppable. So, but yeah, like you said, it's very concerning, mate, with how they played last week. I was thinking Sharks by how many last Thursday night, and it bit me on the ass because the Tigers actually won, and they had a lot of players get injured and a lot of things go against them as well, the Tigers last weekend. So, yeah, mate, I am concerned. Look, I was never giving Cronulla a chance anyway, with the utmost respect due to my Broncos, but sorry for the bias. But it is very concerning if I take that Broncos a bias away and how the Broncos have been playing, just how Cronulla have actually performed, like you said, the last, say, month. They were undefeated, and then they've just gone on a spiral slump. Yeah, I guess the only positive is maybe the only way's up. Like, they've been, they've made the finals. They haven't really performed very well, but there's a good chance this weekend to go out there and get themselves into the finals this weekend. So, yeah, it's all to play for, mate. It's all to play for the Sharkies.
And to be fair as well, I guess they would have had one eye on the finals last weekend. In their loss to the Tigers, they would have played a little bit within themselves as well. Taylor Preston, I think, She needs to have an enormous game. Georgia Hannaway was fantastic in the BMD Premiership, and we've seen, as you've alluded to, we've seen Georgia Hannaway do some really good things that highlighted her season in the BMD. But I think Taylor Preston just needs to take the reins just a little bit more, be a little bit more confident in what she's doing. But other than that, man, Quincy Dodge, she's still killing it. And then
she
just
played well.
Just mentally, man, mentally, defensively, it's just all.
That's where it's going to be, man. That's where it's going to be, Sam. Mentally, and defensively, it's where the Sharks' weakness has been the last month.
Well, going into your Brizzy Broncos now, and pretty much, if the Broncos can play a full 80 minutes of footy, they are going to. They're probably going to win this game, because we've just seen all throughout the season they play one half of footy and they play and they don't play the other half of footy.
Yeah, it's normally the second half.
And it's normally the second half where they activate, bro. But I mean, shit, man, what am I talking for? You take it away, man. Talk to us about your Brizzy Broncos, their strengths, weaknesses, what have you?
Oh yeah, well, before we go into the greatest NRLW team in the competition, mate.
Not that freaking far, but anyway.
let's hit the everyone with some stats, mate. So the Broncos have won 2 from 2 against the Sharks this season. The Sharks winger Georgia Ravix and prop Ellie Johnston have scored in both games against the Broncos. Broncos Gail Broughton has scored 3 tries in 2 games against the Sharks. The Sharks play their first finals match after losing their last 3 games. So that's like we just touched on with their bit of a rough patch the last month or so. And the Broncos have averaged 30 points per game this season. So for me, just what you said, Sam, I don't really need to yarn on too much. I think that the Broncos attack has been just absolutely scintillating this season. The problem, look, if I'm gonna give Cronulla a chance, they've got to start strong, because that's where the weakness is for the Broncos, is their start. If the Sharks can start really well, get themselves into a good lead, it might be hard for the Broncos, and obviously, just like the men's team, stay in the contest, because that's what's seeming to be happening for teams against the Broncos, is that they're in the contest, but then the Broncos seem to go to another level and the other teams can't really stay with them. You and I were watching Dragons versus Broncos last week, and the Dragons were with them there for a while and then just completely got blown away to a cricket score. So that's going to be the big task for the Sharks. Sam, I don't know when you wanted me to say this. I'm sorry if I've gone early, but is there plenty of room on the Broncos bus this weekend? Unfortunately, there is not much room, because the game's sold out, mate. It is sold out. It has sold out. And then, bloody hell, I didn't get a ticket because I've been too busy at work. Weak excuse, but I will be watching on the weekend with my colours on. And there is no room on the bus, unfortunately. Maybe in the undercarriage, maybe I could jump in there, maybe with all the bags or whatever, and get a ticket. But unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Unfortunately for me, but it's great to see that Total Workwear Stadium will be an absolute sellout this weekend, capacity crowd. It's great for the game. The NRLW is just going strength to strength of late. But yeah, look, Julia Robinson has just been in scintillating form for the Broncos throughout the whole season. You got Mele Hufunga there that Sam and I have seen personally do some real damage to some teams. Hayley Maddock is, she's been great as well. And you look at, like you said, we could potentially get Tasman Rapana onto the bench this weekend. And the performances of, Joseph Nulasala, Brianna Clark in the middle, Ferguson, she's just come out of nowhere this season. She's been terrific. And yeah, big old Lenduzi, Chelsea, she got us the match winner against, I think it was the Sharks, wasn't it, a couple of weekends ago at Seabus. Crashed over with a few seconds to go, and yeah, good old Dor was running around, absolutely stoked with what he had just seen. And yeah, I'm absolutely stoked for the girls, but I really hope that they don't, I guess, get caught in the hype, or potentially, think that this game's already won with how the Sharks have been playing of late. They really need to start strong. Like I said, if Cronulla start strong and get themselves to a good lead, it might be too much for the girls, the Broncos girls, to come back into it. But look, I'm really thinking a big one for the Bronx this weekend at home. I don't know if the stat was included there, but I believe, Sam, you can maybe confirm, but I don't believe the Broncos have lost at Total Workwear Stadium this season. So I'm
That's
hoping
correct.
that they can keep that trend going. And yeah, I'm thinking Broncos 13 plus, mate. I don't really know a score, maybe on the lines of, I think 30. Let's go 38 to 16. I think that the Sharks are going to struggle defensively just with those issues that we've had. But look, anything can happen. Same with the men. Finals footy, mate. It's a complete different game to the regular season. So may the best team win. But obviously, I'm going with my Broncos.
Bugger, I was hoping that you were going to be there this Sunday, mate. What a shame.
Uh,
Look, I got to just give, I just want to put this out there as well. I love the tenacity of the Cronulla Sharks back row all season long. They've been stinging in defence, and I think Keely Joseph and the Broncos back row is really, really strong on paper. Romy Teitzel is in doubt for this game with a back injury or a back concern in regards to possible nerve damage or something like that. So watch this space on Romy Teitzel, and maybe it is Rapiner that just is a straight swap.
Yeah, straight swap.
Teitzel.
Yeah. And
Indeed.
then Denman will kick the goals like she did last week.
Absolutely. She's 100%.
Yeah.
But I am going to lean towards the Brizzy Broncos. I've said it all season long. I think this is a sort of a redemption year for Broncos. That team list is absolutely outstanding. Stacey Waka gave you guys just that little bit more energy throughout the middle part of the year, and I think you're just going to kick on from it and make the grand final. I will also say 13 plus. I won't go as extravagant as you. I think I will go something like a 28 to 14 sort of a scoreline. But I am going to go for the Brizzy Broncos in this contest. And we got just in the chat, excuse me, Footy What If, would you agree on NRL games being played in Tasmania?
I agree. Yeah, I think they should take some games to Tasmania. Yeah.
No, of
I
course,
agree.
mate, especially when that $1 billion stadium is finished.
Yeah. And you think of it as well, Sam, like with the Perth venture, they've been taking games over to Perth. And then now, look, they're going to be the, 18th team or whatever into the competition. So, look, you never know. I'm not saying that Tassie could be the 20th team, but it would be good. They really need to take the games. Look, we're taking the games over to Vegas, overseas. I really think we should be taking, like you said, Sam, when that stadium's all complete, all ready to go. Yeah, I agree. Let's take some games to Tasmania and reward the NRL fans down in Tassie.
Thank you for the question, Footy What If. I've never seen you in the chat before, mate. So hope you consider liking and subscribing to both All Out Club channel and the Wobble and Draw Sports channel. Thank you very much. Now let's get into the last game of rugby league for the weekend. Oh man, this could be freaking brilliant. The Sydney Roosters taking on the Newcastle Knights, the back-to-back premiers, and it is the eastern suburbs who are $1.60 favourites. Newcastle are $2.35 outsiders. That has to come in just a little bit more throughout the weekend. But if it stays the same, just get on it in any event. Dor, would you mind taking us through the Roosters team lineup?
Oh, for sure, Matt. I didn't know who you were going to delegate me with, but let's be consistent, and I'll take the Roosters again. Jason's girls in this occasion.
Yes.
So we got Semi Bremner at the back for the Chooks. We've got Fressard and Mia Wood on the wing. We've got the strong centre partnership and ex-Knight Jasmine Strange taking on her former side, and Isabel Kelly, who has been named.
Do we really think she's going to play this weekend?
Isabel Kelly?
Yeah. After dislocating her elbow last weekend?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Sam. I don't know.
We've seen Turbo play with AC joint, and he was only 50% effective, and that's me being generous. Jeremiah Nene played injured with an AC joint in both of his shoulders, and he was 50% effective. That's me being generous, man. I know Isabel Kelly has been the best center of the year, just about. She is the captain of this club, but you can't play someone that dislocated her elbow last weekend, man.
Hold on.
Or what's it? What he's got breaking news?
Oh yeah, she did. No, she did dislocate her elbow, but it says NRL physio said yesterday that Kelly has been cleared of a fracture. So that's, I guess, some positive news. She still dislocated her elbow, but she's clear of a fracture, I guess, is some positive news. Would expect with the assistance of heavy strapping, the physio reckons, likely an accelerated return process considering its finals time. So similar to like Turbo, like you said, Sam, she's not going to be 100%, but she could play, is basically long story short. But hear me out. Jess Surgis is named on the reserves. If Kelly is out, potentially maybe Surgis returns.
Oh, you bet your ass she'd be straight back in, mate, especially if Kelly can't play. But, mate, I hate eating avocado. I think it's the most disgusting thing on the planet. I will eat a fucking avocado if Isabel Kelly plays this Sunday, mate. It would be stunning.
Are we we streaming it, or are we?
No, nobody. I'll just take a screenshot or a photo, mate. Nobody wants to hear me chomp and smack me lips with friggin' avocado, like Jesus. Anyways, I'm sorry. Take it away.
No. That it is very, and the big thing is, Sam, before I go into the rest of the Roosters side, is just how big Isabel Kelly has been for the Roosters this season. She's broken the NRLW for most run meters in a game a few weekends ago. She's just been immense, and she's been the pinnacle of NRLW centers for many years now. So anyway, enough with Isabel Kelly. Look, I'd love to see you eat an avocado, so I hope she plays. I'm sorry, mate. And I want the best players to be playing in the finals game. If I take the avocado and everything else out of it, I want to see the best players playing. That's why I feel sorry for the Roosters men's side this weekend, and I hope that the likes of some names that we'll touch on in a second can potentially make their way in for the Roosters this weekend. We've got Bridie Parker and Josine Kelleher, the halves for the Chooks. We've got Millie Elliott, who has really come into form the last few weeks, and Otessa Pulu in the props, and we've got Keely Davis at hooker. We've got a very, very strong. I'd say the best back row in the competition with such a dynamic second row pairing of Amber Hall and Olivia Kernick. Olivia Kernick herself has just been absolutely special the last few weeks for the Roosters, and Amber Hall she's been great as well. I can't speak enough about those two. I could talk for around half an hour on how good they've been this season, but we haven't got that much time. So Tiana Davison is the lock. On the bench, we've got Papali'i, Hopawate, Samantha. Look, I'm going to probably butcher this, but Economos, I think. Did I butcher that, Sam, or how would you pronounce it, mate?
Well done. Continue.
Okay, thank you. And then is it Navidi?
Yes.
It was probably a butcher, but anyway. And interesting, Maya Hill Moana is the 18th man. So I know she's played a fair bit for the Chooks this season. So it'll be interesting to see if she could potentially come in just with the likes of superstars Jess Surgis, who is named in 19th man, and Taryn Aiken. So it will be interesting. If they lose Kelly, I really think the Roosters really need Surgis and Aiken to play this weekend, because this Newcastle side could be they're special, mate.
Well, this Newcastle side, while they've bashed on a couple of teams that are outside of the 8 at the moment, they've found themselves again after being a little bit flat throughout the middle portion of the season. Let's get stuck into the Premier's team lineup. Tamika Upton plays at fullback with Gallagher and Willison playing on the wings, Parker, Roach, the centres, Georgia Roach, and Jessie Southwell, the halves pairing. Rima Butler, Olivia Higgins, and Simone Kapani are the front row, and the back row is Albert Jones, Clydesdale, and Southwell. The interchange, Maynard, Romanuik, Predabon, and Vinal. And that's just about it. Well, Evie Jones is 18th player, but I don't see any reserves coming in as a late inclusion for the Newcastle Knights. And I've got to say, even though Caitlin Johnston has been missing all season long, Caitlin Johnston-Green, I should say, I immediately think that the Sydney Roosters have the better forward pack of the two, but it is, while there are championship internationals sprinkled throughout this Roosters lineup, this Newcastle Knights side, bro, they've been together back-to-back years. They've done the damn thing. Wow, this is a 50-50 game for me. I think this is going to be an extraordinary game of footy, mate.
Yeah, well, like you said, did you say the odds $1.60 to $2.35?
That's correct.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty close. And I think this is the Roosters Storm game from the men for the women this weekend, and I think the Panthers Sharks is the Broncos Sharks game for the women. So look, Sam, look, let's quickly go through some stats and let's dive into it quickly. So the Roosters have won 5 from 6 at Allianz Stadium. The Knights have won their last 2 games against the Roosters. Roosters second rower Amber Hall has scored 5 tries in her past 6 games. So Amber is just going off of late. Knights fullback Tamika Upton has scored 6 tries in 4 finals appearances. And the Roosters have been beaten semi-finalists in the past 2 seasons. So the Roosters have gone out in the semi-finals the last 2 years. But look, let's quickly go into the team. I don't think that will be the case this season. But like you said, there's matchups all over the park, Sam. This is a stunning one. You've got Bremner versus Upton at the back. You've got those center pairings of Strange and Parker, or Strange and Kelly, should I say, against Parker and Roach. Gallagher has been scoring tries for fun of late for Newcastle, and Yasmin Clydesdale has just been, she's been very special for the Knights. But I agree with you wholeheartedly, man. I think that the Roosters have the better forward pack. I think while the Knights have been good the past few weeks, I think for the majority of the season that the Roosters have been the better side over Newcastle for the better part of the year. They've obviously, like you said, with Johnston-Green for the Knights being out for the season, but the Roosters have also had a fair few. Like Surgis hasn't played for like probably a month now. I know Rugby League history would be delighted to see Surgis back playing this week. With his comments in the chat at the moment. But yes, look, I think the Roosters are going to be too strong, Sam. I think the Roosters are going to be too strong for the Knights. I think they're going to break the last few seasons and they're going to win this one. And we'll have a Roosters, hopefully a Roosters Broncos grand final. But look, don't discount the Knights. I think this is going to be a close game. I've got Roosters 1-12. I think Kelleher has been very special for the Roosters the last few weeks. So I'm thinking Roosters 1-12. If I have to give a scoreline, I think it will be a close contest. I'm thinking around 18 points to 16 in the Roosters' favor.
Someone who I'd never seen play 5/8 before maybe 2 weeks ago was Bridie Parker. I think she has done a magnificent job to just keep the ship steady playing at 5/8. But I give the edge to the Newcastle Knights halves in Georgia Roach and Jessie Southwell, with all due respect to Jocelyn Kelleher as well. In saying that, though, to have the luxury of Maya Hilmawana, Surgis, and Taryn Aiken on the reserves list, and they're going to play this weekend. They're going to play. It really does make me lean towards the Sydney Roosters, but I keep thinking about the Cowboys nearly pipped them, and the Roosters were in danger against the Dragons earlier on in the season. The Roosters are dealing with the worst error rate in the entire competition. They're the worst at error rates. And this Newcastle Knights side, if they can play disciplined and frustrate this Roosters side, they can get them. And these two sides met in round one in a classic, and the Newcastle Knights only just scraping by to get the dub. I wanted to. It's a flip of the coin for me here.
Go with your heart. Go with your heart, Sam.
I want to choose the Newcastle Knights because I think that they've just got that bit of magic, and Tamika Upton has to play the best game of the season for her. She has to, if the Knights are any sort of chance, because Amber Hall is excuse my French, a fucking cheat code, bro. She has been absolutely enormous all season long, mate.
Her against Clydesdale is mouthwatering. That's like Nelson versus Rhea Hargreaves. It's going to be an awesome battle.
It truly is, man. And then Koenig and Lation Albert Jones, and yeah, that back row for Roosters. I've been doubting them all season long, Dor. I really have. I not death riding, but just I've seen the stats and they just seem to prove it wrong every time. I want to choose the Knights because I think they're going to have that magic to win. At $2.35, there's some value there. But knowing that Aiken and Surgis are going to return, and especially if Isabel Kelly does play, and now that everyone knows the knowledge that I might be eating an avocado this Sunday, I'm going to go the Sydney Roosters to win this game, and I didn't think I would be tipping that an hour ago. I truly didn't. I didn't think I would be tipping the Roosters.
Hold on.
Yes,
question. Is the leaning towards the Roosters? So it was pretty close with which way we going to go. Is there any bad blood as to why you've gone towards the Roosters, mate? See a bit of downfall from your former coach in Ben Jeffries.
No, it's got nothing to do with Mr. BJ. It's got nothing to do with Mr. BJ. I'm with you, man. I think lineup for the Roosters is elite. It's probably the best, if not for Brisbane Broncos. It's the best bit of paper that we've seen this weekend. So I'm going to go the Sydney Roosters to win this game. It will be 1-12. I think this will be a 16 points to 14 sort of a scoreline. There is not going to be much in it at all. So you and I, we've talked for close to an hour and a half, and we've come to the conclusion at the same together. We both think it's going to be a Penrith versus Melbourne grand final, and we both think it's going to be a Broncos versus Roosters NRLW grand final, mate.
I think we only went difference of the 13. I think I said 13 plus for one game, and I think you said 1-12. I think it was the Panthers Sharks. I think it was, or I can't remember. I think that, or maybe it was the Broncos. I can't remember, but we picked the same teams, but the margin we've had a difference on. But yeah, we'll see what happens, mate.
Dor, thank you so much for your time, mate. I really do appreciate you coming on and talking footy, as always. And we'll convene later.
I cannot wait. Wait, Sam. I'm looking forward so much to all the games this weekend. And look, while Sam and I have given our opinions, we wish all your sides or your side in these finals all the best. Thank you, Sam. Look, if you're coming from the All Out Club and you haven't, please subscribe to Sam and the Wobblin Jaw Sports. He does a terrific job, and I thoroughly enjoy calling the games or doing stuff like this, and hope to do it very much more into the future. So, look, best of luck to everyone this weekend. Go the Mighty Broncos. Go the girls. And may your team go all the best, mate. Any more
I don't have a team.
Mate?
I don't have a team. I don't have a team.
You just support your Queensland sisters, mate.
No,
don't bring that flag out again, Sam.
Queensland sisters, friggin' ugly degenerative cousin that stays up in the attic. Oh dear. All right then. I'm gonna be working night shifts all weekend, mate, so I can't watch it live. So I've just got to shut the phone down and just
Yeah, you
watch
can
the
message me
replay,
and we'll
mate.
talk about it, mate. Well, you can message
Yes.
me and we'll talk about it after you watch it. No problems
You
at all.
can
But
you
yeah,
can gloat you can gloat to me at midnight that your Grizzly Broncos have made the NRLW Grand
oh,
Final.
look, you got to go ahead and do it, Sam. Anything can happen. As I said, we've played well in the regular season, but this is different gravy in the finals. So, yeah, I hope the girls don't be complacent and really come out there and give us an A+ performance.
And everybody, if you haven't already, please go and tune into the All Out Club YouTube page. They just interviewed, I will butcher her name,
Yeah,
but they
so will
just
I.
interviewed Maria, Australian beach volleyball Olympic champion. So
Yes,
kudos to you
last
guys.
night. Yeah.
That's absolutely enormous for you guys, and it's just the least that you guys deserve. Thank you very much for tuning in, everybody. Have a
No,
very nice weekend. It's preliminary final weekend. It's the best weekend of rugby league, in my opinion, of the year. Have a good weekend, everybody. Adios.
so yeah, thanks.